Hey, everybody. So instead of doing this big old grandiose intro, I'm going to cut it a little short today. I realized about a year ago, I did this parody for the first time on the show, and I kind of found what I like to do. So instead of, replaying it for you or doing anything like that, I'm going to revise it. So it's time for me to hand this off to my digital self for the next installment of Welcome to Cold Read. Welcome to Cold Read. It's time for season 4. Yes, I know I've done this song about a year ago. We've had some revisions, like a new host, but we'll continue bringing you the content we post. Welcome to Cold Read. What topic would you like? Did you want to discuss feedback or how to set your mic? What program to record with? Do a sound test. Just come on in and listen, we'll do the rest. Welcome to Cold Read. Which topic you prefer? Will Renara give some rambles? Will the topic be a blur? We're happy, we're angry, we try to explain. There's even epic stories we can't contain. Welcome to Cold Read. Sit and stay a while. Here's a tip for avoiding plosives. Oops, my diction was quite vile. We have coaches and actors, directors galore, and a bunch of insecurities that cause us not to want to do sometimes, but we get over them. Welcome to Cold Read. We'll try to entertain. We've got stories to share with you, some knowledge you can gain. Listen to your demos, give us all you got. We try to give you feedback that you had not thought. Time to do auditions, some auditions, read the script. Act your heart out and record it, make sure clicks are all clipped. Prep the file for a while, don't forget to add a smile. Wait, it's file, no denial, a junk file to exile. Can I say that last file? Just start over then. If you want to be shortlisted, then best start again. What if your character was evil, have a slight lisp, then he have an accent on him? That would be a twist. Did I interest you in voice acting? Give it a try. A little bit of voice acting, maybe bad guys. Feeling is a medium portraying your disguise. Evilly and sneakily, give it a try. Did I interest you in voice acting? Maybe part-time. A little bit of voice acting for money at times. Auditioning, conditioning, and training till bedtime. Constantly and audibly, this dream of mine. You know, it's been a while since we started. A couple of years ago, at the start of COVID time, just when Twitch Sings fell, maybe in its prime, we told stories, subcategories, an interview or two. We set our sights, made highlights, thanks to you, the listener, you all come in to listen, sometimes on YouTube. Yes, we did it together, look forward to more. Now look at us. Look at us. Yes, us. Composing, transposing the intros now. They're all far out, expanding through and through. And continue getting better. Maybe a breakthrough. Continue the plan to bring the shows that are grand. Could I interest you in voice acting 9 to 5? A bit of voice acting, maybe part-time. Auditioning and practicing while in my prime. But we keep on doing it most of the time. Could I interest you in voice acting 9 to 5? A little bit of voice acting, maybe part-time. Auditioning and practicing while in my prime. Sending in auditioning and sending in auditioning and sending in auditioning for this dream of mine. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everybody to Cold Read the Podcast. Thanks to those that were here live. Thanks to everybody who has picked up and is now watching us or listening to us either on YouTube or anywhere you find your podcasts. Thank you for those. And that intro was by me. Let me figure out if I can isolate where that is coming from.
Definitely you, I think. No, it's saying it's Zamoody. It's saying
It's saying it's me.
Yeah.
All right. That is weird. Huh, that is me. Well, there it goes. We're good.
There we
All
go.
right.
Fantastic.
Funny. Okay, so that's 2 edits. We'll see what we can do about that one. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time. Again, for those that are here, if you have any topics, any questions, anything you want to talk to us about, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Discord that we all participate in, that we all kind of hang out in. We do video games. We do anything. If you have a question for us, you can find us there, too. Jet, hello. How are you? Welcome.
Hey, welcome, Jeff.
Hey, we're starting to see some people that we recognize. I appreciate everybody.
What is that?
I don't know.
I think it's your noise cancellation. Sounds like your AC in the background.
It's coming from you, Zamoody. Like, at least I don't. Yeah, I think. Oh,
I
no,
just muted.
It might be June. It might be June, actually.
Well, we'll look into that here in just a moment, but let's go. We'll figure out any technical issues as we go. But hey, this is what happens when we record a show live. What we're going to do real quick is we're going to check in with everybody. We're going to see how everybody's doing. So, elephant in the room, we see that we have Grimm. For those of you, obviously, who aren't watching, listening, Misty is out. Misty had a personal commitment, and we wish that she is having a ton of fun. But until that, we'll check in with Renara. Renara, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, actually. I got reached out to personally for an audition, which was like specifically sent to me, which felt like amazing. It was like the first time somebody. It wasn't like one of those sent to everyone. It was specifically sent to me, and they said that they'd like been following me on Twitter for a while, and they've just sort of like, oh, I felt so happy. I can't talk about the actual project. There's a hard NDR on it, but I was so excited after getting my new interface and everything, and just sent them some samples. They loved it, and all I think I can say is that my character is a sort of a small piece at the minute that might grow into something larger. So I'm excited to do that. It's like it's giving me my Skywind vibes of small beginnings type thing. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of been just the main highlight of my week. Schools are now finishing. I'm about to go into the summer holidays, so I will have a buttload of time to finish off my Skywind stuff, because now I'm doing Argonian as well. I'm kind of like, I've got 4 cards to finish, which I started off with like 1, and now I've just kept saying yes to stuff, and now I've got a lot to do.
You know, you can say no if you really want to.
Yeah.
No, not for Skywind, not for my baby. No, can't do that.
Well,
but no, yeah.
We'll stay. Oh, good. Well, welcome and thank you again for being here, Renara. We're gonna stay over on London side and check in. Grimm, hey, it's been a while since we've talked to you. How are you, Grimm?
Fine.
Grimm, how has your week been?
It's been good, thank you very much. Right, more tired than I'd like because I work night shift, but I did get a small part, paid part through Crown Stag.
Yes.
It was to do with mental health and suicide prevention, so I'm glad I was able to do that because hopefully that will help someone out there. So it really wasn't to do with the money, it was more to do with actually making something, even if my part was small, just anything to help.
Wow. Well, that's super
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome and thank you for stepping in for Misty. I absolutely appreciate it.
No worries at all.
All right, Eldurrino, how has your week been?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I was not here last week.
No.
Because I was in Minnesota visiting my family and my friends. I actually went there because so my closest friend, he studied for a long time, and now he has become the pastor of the church that I used to attend when I was a teenager, which is super mind blowing to think about. But he wanted to like have members of the youth band that participated there get back together and do like a sermon with him. So that was very fun. It was really good to see everyone again. It reminded me that I am just continuously getting older. Like people that were literal babies when I last saw them are now like talking about Fortnite and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, this is really awkward. No, but it was overall very, very fun, very good to see everyone again. As far as voice acting goes, I have not done a whole lot because I have been devoting all of my time pretty much to a secret project that.
No, go on. You can say
I
now.
think we're okay to talk about now.
I think we're okay to talk about it now because it's well within the pipeline now. So go for it.
So Renara and I have secretly been working on her intro for next week.
Oh, okay.
For the past like 3 months.
Whoa.
We're working on a song together that is going to span pretty much the entire intro. It's going to be like an 8 to 9 minute song.
Nice.
So yeah, very, very excited to show that off because it's been a doozy.
I don't think I've made it easy.
Well,
it
challenges me it challenges me not only as a musician but also a songwriter and just a writer in general, because like I said before, I'm really trying to brush up on writing, and this gives me a chance to practice what I am reading about. So it's actually very helpful in my own selfish way.
I'm glad I could help.
So otherwise, no, I haven't. I'm still waiting to hear back on a couple of projects that I submitted lines for. I just haven't got a payout yet because they had some work issues, I guess. So they're a little short on funds. But I told myself that as soon as this project is done, I am making my commercial demo reel once and for all, because I keep saying I'm doing it, and then I just never get around to it. So
nice.
I'm gonna do that, and then proceed with actually making use of my voices.com subscription. So that's it.
Very cool. I love the hat, by the way, for those of you that are here live or watching. Yeah, it's a hat that says "Stay hydrated." Very, very in character for Mr. Eldurrino. So thank you.
Yeah. My girlfriend, like my shirts, hates it. So, I mean, no, she doesn't hate it. I hated it a little bit at first because it fit weird, and then it grew on me.
Okay.
And plus, I just want to send a message.
Gotcha. No, yeah. Well, I mean, you've been spreading the message for a while, and we always appreciate it. So very, very important to always stay hydrated in all facets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As far as I go, it's been very busy for me work wise. We're for some reason July has become like the reopening month, and then 6th wave hit, and we had a whole bunch of people out. So I have not had an opportunity to do very much in the way of voice acting. I did find out now that I can no longer record Saturday nights because I have a neighbor who started a mariachi band and goes from about 5 p.m. till about 11 o'clock at night. So, and they're like 2 houses down, and I can hear every single thing. And let me tell you, they need their practice. So I guess I can't stop them. So, otherwise, yeah, it was. I had to wait till this morning to do the intro, and it was just a complete. I wanted to do more stuff around it, but and then my throat's not helping out, so. We'll take it easy for the next week, and we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll get right back into it. But with all of that out of the way, and by the way, hello, FSONet. Nice to see you, Zizwar. Thank you so much for being here. We have our guests, and for those of you that are in the voice acting industry, you may be very familiar with the name June Yoon. June, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, yes, very, very cool. Thank you. And generally, we tend to go and talk about your journey when it comes to voice acting. So, let's start at the very beginning. So, when or why did you start doing voice acting as just either fun or profession?
Well, it's actually it's not that different from many other folks, I suppose, from the stories that I've heard so far. At some point, somebody has said, "You have a really good voice." Okay, well, sure. And it gets embedded in you, and you get that repeated enough times into your brain, and it starts to propagate in this way. I have been working as a high school theater teacher from 2005 all the way up to 2016.
Wow.
And due to one thing led to another, and I got let go from that position. And it had been my passion and happiness this entire time. And there are stories that precede that, obviously, but it was a moment in life at age 36 that I had to make some sort of a change and change of gears, perhaps. And the thought that had been propagating in my subconscious maybe this whole time about how I might have a good voice for whatever popped up. So I said to my wife, I think I want to try voice acting. And I am the luckiest man in the world, and I have the best spouse and partner ever by anyone. She supported, of course, as she should, because we love each other very much in that capacity. One thing led to another, and here we are. And in retrospect, I think getting let go from that teaching position and finding this community, finding this industry, and finding my footings and advancing forward in the way that I have so far has really significantly changed my perception of happiness and what life should be, and further supported by the latest image that came out from the James Webb Telescope, that we are indeed mere insignificant specks floating in the dark.
Yeah, those pictures mess with your head.
We might as well live our lives in happiness as best we can. So here we are.
Yeah. So 2016, you decided to make this change, and you have this great support network, and that's very, very awesome. Where did you go first to start, or how did you get into that process?
I researched like crazy, as I do, as all educators should, research the new topic and new methodologies and new curriculum and up and down. And sorting through the noise was a difficult task, to be sure. But thankfully, I had connected with great mentors and amazing coaches and people who guided me left and right. And I've also been a part of all the freelance platforms so that I can start to make money. We have a mortgage to pay and bills got to get paid and so on and so forth. So I was on all of them, including that you're thinking in your head right now as well. But the moment we realize and we grow out of our necessity for a certain environment, we get out of there, do we not? So as the progression progressed, as the career took off and this became a full-time entrepreneurial effort, we said goodbye, and here we are. And it really, that point cannot be impressed strongly enough that how entrepreneurial this whole thing is, rather than this romantic idea of I'm going to be an actor. I will say though, I did go back to teaching because money's got to get made and bills got to get paid.
Absolutely.
So from 2016 to 2017, I went to another school to teach another year of theater. And did voice acting on the side as a part-time thing, just like so many people that are out there. But within that one school year, I've come to the realization that voice acting should be the main drive and the main happiness, mainly because I'm finding so much joy in it and there's so much potential. So in 2017, really, I stopped teaching theater altogether.
Wow. And
dedicated full-time to the one. So, yeah, I guess you should say 2017, not 16, but
well, regardless. Yeah, I mean, yeah, your journey started in 20, and we've always been huge proponents of saying, make sure, your needs are met, your 9 to 5, all your bills are paid before you jump in, set the foundation now with anything that you can. So it's very cool. I mean, especially because You've got a lot of credits. I'm a big fan of Genshin Impact. I know Dorino's a big fan of Genshin Impact too.
I haven't played it.
It's a free game. We'll get you in there. Don't worry.
Well, it's not entirely free. You just have to sacrifice a part of your soul.
It's fine.
Nothing
The
crazy.
thing is, do I have enough? Because I've sacrificed so much to Dragon Age at this point. I don't know if I've got enough left.
Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
So so within a year you went from the part-time to the full-time. And I mean, obviously, yeah, you said you've mentioned you've been a part of all of the websites that we can think of. Was there a particular a jump that made you go from that part-time to that full-time?
Yes and no, kind of. The major driving force behind it was the mental switch from I'm going to be an actor to an entrepreneur. And that really came after consuming episodes upon episodes of Mark Scott's Videopreneur. And the guy talks sense completely. I was on his show as well. He makes complete sense, talks the business, and he's absolutely right, 100%, that this is very much an entrepreneurial effort than, again, being an actor. And once the mindset set in and the executive decisions that I've been making were were from the perspective of running a business rather than an actor, a lot of things started to fall into place. The one thing that I like to emphasize to the people that I work with in coaching capacity is stressing upon the idea that an audition or a proposal, whatever it is that we might be reaching out for to win that job or win that role or win that thing, X, Y, and Z thing, isn't necessarily about that one job, but about landing an impression on the client.
Very true.
Relationship and stay on top of mind and do touches every now and then, quarterly or so that you stay in the periphery of their mind. So when they come up with X, Y, and Z things, that I'm the one in mind. And I would healthily and proudly argue that should there ever be a Korean character, a Korean language necessary VO, no other name would come up to the foreheads of many of my clients, at least. And I'm continually expanding my network of clients and clientele in this capacity.
That's awesome, because I think first episode we watched a video that basically talked about harboring those relationships and creating those that are going to give you most of your job. So that's great. Great callback to that. Thank you so much, Renara.
Clients, not jobs. I think it was the way they said it. It was like clients get more clients versus jobs. I think, which is the way they said that. Which I think we've heard several people have said that. I think for me, I'm just trying as.
Okay. Jeepers.
Oh,
Reset
weird
from
on
one. Welcome to Cold Read.
No, gosh, no.
Take two.
Okay.
Bloody hell. Renara, do you recall your question?
No.
Crazy.
I do not. But I can gladly derail this whole thing and ask a completely different question.
Sure, works for me.
Sure.
Fine. It will have no link to what we were talking about previously. Well, maybe. Oh, it was to do with business and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
There we go. The wheels are turning. Okay. That was it. I struggle to see this as a business, but that's because I struggle to see the entrepreneurship part behind it. I know step-by-step things that I need to do, but not necessarily how, like, the mindset, literally, if you call it a set. So I would simply ask what tips and tricks would you say what tips or tricks would you give to anyone who is struggling with the business side of these things to help get them on track with that sort of stuff? Oh boy.
I will spare you the Ren rambles because it's really all my fault, so.
Well, much like a lot of my colleagues, in my opinion, at least from what I'm able to observe, there just aren't that many. I'm sure there are many, but in a relative scale of all the voice actors, there just aren't that many voice actors who make their full-time living from character voicing VO only. They are actors. Like, good for them, right? Awesome. For most of us, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, I'm just one person, the one small a speck of dust in the universe. I believe a lot of us participate and book and audition and so on and so forth, things that may not be necessarily broadcast to the public as like a game, anime, audio drama, video game, so on and so forth. I would just to kind of put it into the mindset as we're saying.
Yeah.
Just sheerly looking at my VO pie of 100% VO only pie, aside from coaching and acoustic panels and everything else, streaming, sheerly from a VO perspective, I would heartily argue that 80 to 85% of everything I do is internal. It'll never see the light of day unless you're the employee of this company, or you're consuming this explainer video, or you're learning Korean, or whatever. The widely publicized and public-facing consumer content, like characters and roles and whatnot, is only tip of the iceberg, to be quite frank.
Well, and that's more like the famous part too, right? That's what's going to make you like, yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because a friend of mine yesterday, who I went to see yesterday, who was in town, talked about another friend who was a VO, and she's like, I was sitting in Vegas out in the tram, and all of a sudden I heard my friend's voice. It's not like a commercial. It was just like a little thing explaining, how to get on, how to get off. So it's exactly, it's what you're saying.
Imagine what you're hearing at a line inside a theme park, right? Keep your arms and you're in the line, you're hearing announcements and trains and public transportation as well, of course. Phone systems, right?
IVR.
Exactly. So there's a lot, much more wider and more diverse areas of voiceover genres that's got to do with more about narration and internal and other industrial even, and promos, and real estate VO is a thing, if you didn't know. Like, it may not be the popular thing that we may see on Twitter, or something that gets advertised by the marketing departments of Sony and Naughty Dog, sure, but I would heartily and convincingly argue that's the story for most voice actors. A lot of the VO that we do is indeed internal, and it's not like public facing, and small portion of the thing that we do as character actors is that, which I'd imagine is the reason why you don't know the name of the guy who's voicing the Chevy Spot. Right. Who the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds great, but who is this? Or whatever. But it's entrepreneurial because the marketing underneath is what drives all of that and propels it and sustains it. Because without marketing, without those emails, without those touches and management of CRMs and daily efforts that go into running a business in this capacity, that scale wouldn't be possible in the first place.
Okay.
I saw Renara was putting her hand up for a second.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it was just you were talking about sort of like behind the scenes thing, and it jogged my mind of we've asked a few people about this, and I think it'd be interesting, considering I'm going to assume that you are bilingual in that regard, but there are these things, the text to speech things that have suddenly become more of a thing. I was sort of wondering, one, have you ever been approached either in Korean or in English to do one? And how far do you agree or disagree with the whole premise of those sorts of things? Like, are they, because me and Grimm were talking about how we hear a lot of different ones with different accents, but not necessarily in different languages. So I was just wondering if they are more prevalent than just in the English speaking as well.
Ren, I said no hard-hitting questions.
I'm sorry. I'm interested. I want to know, damn it.
I did one.
Right.
One. This was like late 2018, early 2019. Bills had to get paid, so I did one. And this one very specific TTS AI training project that I was a part of asked for a bilingual Korean-speaking voice talent to give us Konglish.
Interesting.
As in,
They actually
like,
called it something. Wow.
English and Korean combined into a single sentence. Not accents per se, but they wanted to test what that would be like in a similar situation of training AI and TTS projects for Korean languages to include English words in their sentences and vice versa. Thousands of dollars, which was great, and paid the bills for a number of months, which was comfy and securing at that stage of my life. But even 3-4 years ago, that was, in retrospect, I would not have done it.
Right.
In retrospect, I would not have done it, but bills gotta get paid. So I don't harbor any ill feelings or anything like that towards anyone. Of course not. But technology is going to move forward, whether we like it or not. And market is going to move forward regardless of our opinions and feelings. The market doesn't care about what we think. The market's going to want what it's going to want, and it's going to continue to provide and source materials for which it can utilize. And when I walk into my kitchen and say good morning to my Google Home, and as my Google Home uses the AI voice to tell me about the weather and reads the headlines of NPR and so on and so forth, I don't necessarily need it to be human. Even then, at this point in our juncture, Google Home almost sounds like human. Siri Alexa almost sounds like human, and that's really where it needs to be for now, and that's fine. Which is the reason why I pain and I feel suffering perhaps for the voice actor colleagues who are in the VO industry going for those jobs at the rates that they are typically advertised and fished for. The YouTube narrations that are existing for how many cents per word it might be. I honestly, and this idea was planted in my head by J. Michael Collins in The Videopreneur by Mark Scott. Those jobs and those clients will be the first to go because we're already here. Alexa, Siri, Google Home almost sounds human. And if we're talking about X, Y, and Z topic where a simple narration is necessary without the weight and the importance of human speech that's embedded into a certain project, we can't use unless it's Mark Hamill, that's a different story.
Yes.
We can't use the AI software in this deeply human moment of this moment in The Last of Us Part 3 or whatever it might be. That's too human. It needs to be human. But for an AI to tell me about the benefits of the living room in this one real estate VO, it doesn't need to be completely human, at least not yet. And those jobs will be the first to go. And I'm not ringing the alarm bell. I'm not that person either, but just knowing the business, going back to the entrepreneurship and realizing the current landscape that we're in and what will be a reality, not even what's possible in the future, but what will be a reality in the future, we need to start pivoting. Yeah. And especially if the current clientele that you're serving are in fact those clients. And AI technology is going to get better and better and better exponentially. As we've seen in the last few decades, we didn't have these cell phones 20 years ago. We didn't have Discord 10 years ago. Please.
I'm going to bring, because Jet makes an interesting point from a previous one. Additionally, I'd argue that basically everyone who works full-time in VO has multiple income streams beyond just roles, whether that's coaching / classes, prints, events, or more. The typical part or full-time job, absolutely. And then FSO talking about AI is saying, I wonder if there's any worry that these AI computer voices will one day overtake the industry and limit work for voice actors. And we've kind of touched about that here on the show a couple of times. And I mean, everything is innovation. You know, when cars were being made and the assembly line came out, a lot of people lost their job. Industries want to do stuff cheaper. we can't blame them for that. The best that we can do is if you want a person to answer your questions, great. But I mean, it just like June just said, if I'm driving the car, I don't need Mr. T to give me directions. I'm okay with just Google Voice giving me the directions, and that was an add-on for a while for GPSs.
I think that was a
Wait,
Darth
you
Vader
don't
one, I think.
require Mr. T to
I
tell you
don't
where to
require.
go?
No, absolutely not.
Oh,
It's a nice add-on.
How do you get to anywhere then? Like, I mean, if I'm not hearing like turn left, fool, like every couple of minutes, I get a little concerned.
Thank you very much. Feel free to chat if you want to jump in with any questions. So let me go back a little bit, June, when it comes to your journey. So 2017, 2018, what was your equipment like?
People in the chat, everybody who has the capability of a keyboard in Google, please look up Shure MV88. MV88. My very first microphone, and I read somewhere that is fantastic. It plugs conveniently into my iPhone.
Of course.
And sitting in the corner of my garage, because I had researched about dampening and treatment and all these things. I placed myself in the corner of the garage underneath the platform, and hung a bunch of towels all around for dampening.
Oh,
and I took my Shure branded digital microphone and I recorded in the corner. I still have the original files, obviously, as we all should, and listen back to it once a year or so, and marvel at how far everything has come. It's fantastic.
Don't you love that feeling? It's like I've grown so much. I love that feeling of like personal growth. Like I can't believe I went from this because I do the same thing. I still have my very first audition was for a job that Zamoody actually sent me for a fighting game called Serial Killers.
Yes.
And I thought I did well. I thought my voice was true to the characters and whatnot. And then I never heard anything back from him. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And I listened back to it. I was like, oh yeah, you can hear like children playing outside and cars going past. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it?
But we all thought we were doing so. I used to live in a tin can, apparently, if I listened to my first auditions, because everything's just like bouncing off the cement walls over here.
If I remember correctly.
The bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing.
I've been hit.
Oh, my goodness. See, never share your bad clips with your friends because they will constantly bring them up.
Yeah, you'll never live that down.
Never live that down. My goodness. Well, very cool. So when you started doing, because I mean, yeah, the shift is your voice is your product. That's so cool, and that is a revelation for a lot of people as they go. Where did you start mostly looking for work? Is that when you seeked representation, or how did you make that next jump?
No, I didn't get my first representation until what was it, early last year.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's been this entire time without representation. It's been running my business, marketing my services, and communicating with clients. At the same time, attending as many classes as I can, looking up as many free available resources as I can so I can learn and be better, so that I can present a product and a service that everybody can be happy with and satisfied with and will come back for. And I preach this from the top of my mountain to everyone who will listen. Approaching an agent with the hopes that they'll send you something is never the right idea, in my opinion. I approached my agency with a full package. Look, I've built a business. Here's my website. Here's my booth. Here's the demos that I paid thousands of dollars for using the money that I've made. Here's a list of my clientele, X, Y, and Z. And I wrote it like a business proposition and partnership, and not an actor who's begging on his knees. And I'd like to. Who knows, right? Who knows what they were thinking? But I would like to think that mindset and that attitude of let's partner up as businesses certainly set a different tone than the rest of the emails that they received that day.
Yeah, I can see that now. Like putting it in that sort of perspective of rather than because I've been in the position of actor and producer because I make my own stuff, I write and stuff and make. So it's oddly I can see that having all of that stuff available to then just go like, I would like to be with you as a partner rather than please help me, I would like some help, please. It sets it up as much more of a positive interaction rather than like if to put it in another sort of analogy, it's the sort of power level you've got rather than having, because companies want to make money. Like that's what they want to do. They want to make money. So if you are approaching them with the opportunity to bring in like funds or something like that, look at what I can do, I am valuable, I can do this, and they see that value like as worth something in their own eyes, the likelihood of, how do I put this, of you following along the path parallel with them rather than them hitchhiking you makes more sense.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, you become less of a liability in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's an equal value exchange proposition. In exchange for the 10% that they'll take, you're getting access to their clients.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I apologize for going off
No,
the rails.
no, it's perfect.
Sorry. I had approached forward and progressed forward with the mindset of an entrepreneur. So it was really about finding as many clients as possible and appearing in as many platforms where voice seekers would seek people with voices. And from my extensive research, and this is the area where I'm nichely singularized out from the rest of the VO community, perhaps. It is because I am bilingual in the Korean language, born and raised, and there's no mistaking it. And at the time, and even today, to an extent, there just aren't that many Korean-speaking voice actors. I can count in one hand my colleagues who are native-level Korean-speaking voice actors who are active in the industry in the entirety of America. America, 5, myself included in that list. So having that niche and kind of stumbling upon the necessity of that niche by international clients all over the place. I have clients that I still work with to this day in France and Brazil and Portugal and Germany and India and Russia as well. Russian clients are now like, yeah, because of the whole thing now, obviously. Yeah. For YouTube XYZ reasons. But these clients I interfaced with online, in all of the freelance platforms, all of them, even the ones that begin with the letter F, all of them. Not anymore, certainly, but it was about connecting with clients, finding their need, what their needs are, and addressing it in the most optimum, under budget, on time way possible. And soon enough, before long, my 24 hours in a day had been filled with these things that I needed to do to fill that niche. So in that way, it accelerated my growth and progress in this industry as a voice talent, using the Korean language as a niche. And while I'm fortunate in that regard, the model of the approach don't really change. I'm not saying find your niche per se, but that's the idea. Find where you fit, where the needs are. Analyze it. Go find the area of needs and focus your energy and drive into it so that you create opportunities and clientele for yourself. Soon after I left that platform. You know that platform.
Yeah. The 6-letter.
The 2 R's, you know. And I've left all of them because my time had become so valuable in that way. In the range of clients that I was serving had elevated to a certain point where the offerings of the past clients who are on those platforms were no longer worth it. In a business sense, per dollar, per minute, per hour of my time, it didn't make any sense anymore because I had clients on the upper end that I needed to service and then find more that are above it as well. So as my range of clientele who paid X amount of dollar for my time, increased over time, I had to let go of the lower paying ones, as you will, because my time is valuable in that way because I'm a business, right? Time is money. So it wasn't long until I came to the realization that this platform needed to be dropped off, because those clients that propagated and hung out usually on those platforms were no longer serving my business. So I left all of them, except for Upwork. I'm still on Upwork.
Interesting.
Only a freelance platform that I'm still on. And I'm currently working on this Korean language thing. That a client that I connected on Upwork on this $7,000 contract that I'm on right now.
Wow.
From Upwork.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly there are a lot of like crap in the sand. Certainly. Yeah. But as Amy Smith from Australia said, and I completely agree with her, Upwork has a lot more diamonds in the sand than other platforms. So that's why I'm still on there. I'm on the roster list of Johnson & Johnson, who is on Upwork.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't see that name anywhere else on other freelance platforms, and other companies and corporations who are active in that platform. So I'm still there. But in this way, as an entrepreneurial spirit and the progress and journey, it was always been about connecting with clients and making good and making absolutely fostering that relationship so they come back for more. And once they find a talent that can produce and provide them with the necessary elements that they're looking for in their marketing pieces, who can do it well, amazingly well, who's easy to work with, who's under budget, on time and fast and friendly and fun to work with, why would they go anywhere else?
Wow. Well, a couple of things before first off, Jet has a comment. I'm going to say that in a second. But you mentioned Amy, and Jet says, random aside, Amy's great, lovely human. So keep that in mind. Because my mind is kind of getting blown here, because I've heard the business aspect of all of this, but you've literally removed the personal, emotional part of it. And even Jet says, writing your message as a proposal also helps divorce the emotional component, because you're relying on objective data, roles, specs, etc., rather than your own judgment of yourself or sentiments regarding like trying to seek representation. I love that. Because it will separate you from everybody else who's like, hey, here's my voice demo. Do you like me? Do you want to sign me up? I like, this is what I've done. This is what I can do. This is what I can offer. It's such a good idea to see it in that aspect. And this is like the first time I've thought of it that way. So thank you for that.
I'd say it comes across more confidently as well, ironically enough, because you're not having to fill out with a lot of adjectives. You're not having to try. You're not trying to. Oh, I've forgotten the word. It's not empathically relate, I think, or something like. You're not trying to like emotionally relate to somebody. You are going. See for yourself. Make your own judgment upon what, like, I think is like. It doesn't matter what I think currently. This is what I can give you. If you want it, great. If not. And it kind of leaves it there, which I think we've said we've touched on that in the past, in the sense of removing yourself from the product and being able to be objective along those sorts of lines. And I think we've always looked at our auditions in that manner, but never as the voice acting business as a whole in that manner, which I think is the very interesting thing to actually like come across. So thank you, June.
Yes, for sure.
Learning.
I'd love to add a third piece to that as well.
Sure, please.
The emotional connection, perhaps the personal one, also kind of needs to be there if we're talking about agencies. I wouldn't advise blanket covering all the agents in the region, hoping that you'll. I would instead advise and hope and instruct to even, I would say, to be specific in particular about the campaign that you're launching for representation. I happened to catch an episode of VO Buzz Weekly with Chuck Duran where Vanessa was on, and I absolutely fell in love with her. I love her so much. And Vanessa is my agent in RSA along with the rest of the team, and I knew I had to like connect with her on RSA via RSA, my agency here in LA, which is one of the reasons why I wrote that email. And of course I wrote into other agencies too, and who knows where it's going to go in the future, but for now I love where I am because I know, at least I learned more about Vanessa the way that I did. Otherwise I wouldn't have submitted, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you on LinkedIn, perchance?
I am on LinkedIn, of course.
Okay, because I was just wondering, was it just Crown Stag, or if okay, fine.
Okay.
just wanted to make
So, I mean, the other thing I did want to kind of talk to you about, and I'm sorry because we're taking up so much of your time, is the coaching aspect. So you also offer coaching, because we've had people on that have been your students. How did you even get into that portion of it in the first place?
Education is a huge portion of my life. And if we rewind back to 2002, 2003 or so, was the third year of my college career as a theater arts performance major who was studying to be an actor and a director in college, was hit with this existential question of, is this what I want to do, as we all do to a certain extent at some point in our lives. And and I blame it on my immigrant history, perhaps. I wanted so desperately the stability that I never had in my childhood as an immigrant to a new country, X, Y, and Z reasons. All the as stereotypical as it may seem, it's real to me. So I really, really wanted that house in the suburbs, the 2 cars in the driveway, this whole thing. And as an actor, I would argue that's more difficult to attain. I don't know.
Yes.
So I had a choice to make in college. Do I want to continue down my path of happiness and become an actor and do what I want to do? Or do I want to shoot for a more regular job and get what I want as an immigrant, as that stability is something that I desperately desired? In the end, the stability won out, and thankfully so, because my wife is also a teacher, and we're a house of teachers. I come from a house of teachers, family of teachers, and so does my wife. So it was very ingrained, maybe, in my DNA. So I turned to education, and I loved it. We made the analytical decision to do it so that I can teach and direct and act all in the same thing while earning a salary. It made complete sense. So I taught. I got hired at a school and started teaching, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And still to this day, it remains as one of my happinesses. My calendar is filled with sessions in workshops and privates in this way, and I absolutely love it. It's sincerely one of my happinesses, equal, if not whatever, to the time that I spend in there. And for 11 years, I absolutely loved it. Every single day, going to work was not going to work. And as I turned to voice acting, I wasn't about to let that go. And the moment I started coaching again, one-on-ones and classes in this capacity that I offer, it was in the same happiness all over again. And I don't plan on stopping. If you're watching, if you're listening to this podcast or watching on a screen, if you know how to act, right? If you're established in the industry, you have roles and you know what you're doing, then I'm not the right coach for you. I'm not. Everything that I've taught is beginning acting at a high school level. That's my expertise, and it's the area in which I live. I say it proudly on my coaching website. Once you have wings and you can fly, I'm gonna kick you out. That's it. You don't need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just in concurrence and in alignment with my journey so far about being specific into a niche area and having the specificity of where I excel and what expertise and services I bring. Korean language and voiceovers that are related to the same theme of Korea is where I thrive. Same thing with coaching as well. The beginning actors, the actors who lack the fundamentals, maybe. In mentorship, of all the, if you think back to your high school years, you had that. Hopefully, you had that 1, 2, 3 teachers you could trust and rely on for various things outside of their subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
I served that role for many students in my career, and I say this often. I think I really honestly deserve a honorary psychology degree or therapist license. Maybe, I don't know. Many students have cried on my shoulders. Let's say, like not to brag or anything like that, but
Brag
a
away.
role
Let me just
of
wipe
the
the
role
tears
of a
off my shoulder.
pretty much you know but the role of a mentor, role of an educator, and the purpose and the significance underneath all of that, I absolutely thrive upon that. It's my happiness, and I'm not about to leave that anytime soon.
Oh, good. Wow, that and it must have been such a great fit for you, because I can see the passion that you give behind that. So it's so cool to see. Yeah, super.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the job that you love, that you don't have to worry about going. Because I know all of us that have those 9-to-5s are like, oh, I got to go to work. But no, you're like, ooh, I get to go to work.
Yeah, right.
Do this all day. Yep.
Absolutely. Before I get to my final questions, I want to check with the panel, make sure I know if you guys have one.
Go for it, Grimm.
Yes. I have a question. Sorry, I just want to ask a question. Something that you slightly touched on, but I did want to ask is, have you ever ended up with a role, be it kind of character or for a company, that felt wrong? That they might have said something like, we love your accent, but can you do it more and more, to the point where it's almost comical, and
Space.
it gets to the point of you could classify it as offensive. Have you ever come across that? If so, how did you deal with it?
In a number of ways. I'll begin with this one. This was like 20 late 17, I think, long time ago, when the bills have to get paid, so I'll take any job, that sector of my career. I remember voicing this promotional content, this e-learning. I think it's promotional content actively for this MLM company. Well, it's this Ukrainian Russian guy. I can't. The accent was super thick, and it was dubbing in Korean for whatever, and the visuals of this guy, this slick business guy who was boarding this private airplane in some tarmac with an obvious patch of his logo over the existing logo of the airplane.
Oh no.
And something like, this is my office, and it's this picture frame of his company name hung over something, and this is my sexy secretary. Her name is Algor, whatever it was. Don't you want to live this life and be who I am? Oh gosh, I hated myself. But it paid well, so I did it.
So you took it because you needed to, but
but for offensiveness, the second part of that answer, I will happily adjust my level of accentuation as needed, since it's the skill and the craft that I've developed to fit a certain character in a certain story with a purpose, of course. As I was dubbing for, oh gosh, Sweden Sour, I want to say. It's been years, so I don't remember anymore. I played this manager, this Korean corporate manager who goes out drinking with his employees, culture. And this character in this story loved to use English in his communication to raise his superiority of intellect over the others. He was that guy in that character. Yeah. And the director saw the artistic necessity of having an accent in there. So I absolutely agreed. It's this superficial and selfish and this not nostalgic. What is that word? Self-absorbed person.
Narcissistic?
Narcissistic. Thank you. This person who was convinced of his superior English ability, who talked with this terrible accent. So dubbing it in English with this terrible Korean accent made sense in terms of the story and the character, and I happily obliged, of course. Yeah. And I have also interfaced with other directors and producers who would say to me, "Could you thicken up that accent a little bit more?" And I would ask why.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, asking why is a good idea, because there should be a reason.
And if they have a good answer, I'd do it, of course. And it makes sense for me artistically and business-wise. And how will this appear to the others who will consume this content and see my name in it? But if they didn't have an answer, I would argue back. And if they didn't like it, they can always find somebody else. Good luck. Koreans. It's either my way or the other person. Good luck finding them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Wow.
The power.
Yeah, Dorino.
I wanted to say, I always ask the same question at the end of our podcast. It is very important, but I'm going to give you a second to prepare yourself.
Sure.
Whilst I say, Zamoody and June, you guys, I do a TikTok account now, where I just do an impression of a video game character from Destiny 2. But you guys are like the only two people that actually look on TikTok for your videos, and especially like yours, June, because you give like. I'll be doubting myself super hardcore when it comes to voice acting or just performance art in general. And then there was one that I came across. It was probably a couple months ago now, about commercial work. Not always looking out for that character role. That you know, in order to pay your bills, you should be looking for more consistent work, such as commercials. And I really took that to heart, because I struggle with that really hard, because I don't want to I want to be able to be different from the competition instead of just having the same generic commercial voice. But at the same time, it's like, if I don't try, then I'm not doing anything with my life. So the fact that you said, you know, just you just got to do it. Like, you got to put your foot in the door, is very inspirational. My question to you though is, what is your favorite pizza topping?
Well, it's a commercial video,
I love it.
you know, with cheese, extra cheese on top.
I know it's a weird segue.
Love curveball. Love the curveball.
It's good. You almost got me. No. Pizza Hut isn't coming to Twitter to cast for their next commercial video.
No.
They're just not. They're just not. They have a marketing department, and that marketing department for XYZ company, whose name that you know, all of them, who have marketing departments, have relationships with certain talent agencies that they procure talent from. Be it Atlas, CSD, whatever, right? RSA.
Is this a bit?
And because those marketing departments have those built-in relationships with the talent agencies, who is able to provide them with the necessary talent that are top of the cream, if you will, they're just not coming to Casting Call Club to look for their next narrator. They're just not. So if commercials is something that you want to get into, that mindset for you specifically will need to be changed. It's not about the voice. There is no such thing as a commercial voice. There is you. There's you. And that means if you want to voice commercials, there's only two places you can do it. Voices.com, agencies.
Right.
And if you're on voices.com, your demo and your commercial narration capability better be on par and competitive and better than the competition that are on voices.com. Number one, to get through the chaos of John Smith in Kansas in his basement with a snowball, a good 65-70% of those auditions will be that demographic who are just starting out, who have been told, if you sign up for this account, you'll have a microphone. You know how to read, don't you? You'll book it, make 6 figures in no time. Ha ha ha. It'll be those folks that the client will have to get through first. And the remaining 35% will be people like you and me, competitive people that are in the industry with training and equipment and know-how. And you better be included in that percentage to have a chance without an agency. Are you represented?
Not currently, though.
Definitely, I would definitely point your energy and funds and time and energy and effort into booking those jobs so that you can build a resume, right? So that you can have experience to present when the time comes to pitch yourself to an agency. Look at all the companies that I've worked for. Here's all the commercials that I've done. Here, look at my iSpot links and YouTube links. Here you go, right? As we previously discussed.
Yeah, I think maybe I wasn't clear in what I was trying to say. I meant that I was focusing way too much on trying to get my voice in the shape that I wanted to be for commercial work and to stand out and your advice was don't worry about that. Like, just do it. Just put your auditions in, make your demo reel, etc., etc. So that was the inspiration. But I am very serious about that pizza topping question. I need to know.
He always wants to know.
He does. He really does.
My standard go-to is pepperoni and onions.
Ooh.
Okay, that's
We
fair.
haven't had one of those.
I like the twist on the onions. That's good.
I was about to say, if you say kimchi, because I know how much I see all the foods you put kimchi on, which I love kimchi, but I don't know if I could handle it on pizza.
Oh, I could. I could eat that on pizza. Yeah.
You haven't tried it yet.
I have not. I just feel like it'd be, I don't know.
Be adventurous.
savory?
Try.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love
Do
spicy
or do
food.
not. There is no try.
Oh, okay,
I
Yoda.
love it. I love
All right,
it.
well, I guess I know what I'm doing for dinner.
There you go.
June, just a couple last questions for me. And this is kind of a two-parter. So first off, if you were able to go back to your 2016, 2017, 2018 days, what advice would you have for yourself?
To absolutely invest heavily in the recording space.
Ooh, I love it.
Absolutely heavily.
Yeah.
Because why would anybody hire even if you're the most amazing actor in the world with the golden voice, if the audio you're turning in is crap, no one's gonna hire you.
It's very true.
And it all begins with the recording space. So I would have invested heavily in the recording space off the get-go. I purchased my first whisper room not too long after learning that aspect of this whole industry. And even with the whisper room in place, I didn't have enough treatment on the inside that I didn't know. It wasn't until I connected with an audio engineer who listened to my wave files and da-da-da-da. Okay, I guess I'll opt for the audio treatment package that they were selling. And it certainly improved it dramatically. Even then, it wasn't until the pandemic really took off and my kids started to attend school at home. It'd be a lot louder that I had to get the studio bricks. And after purchasing this, I went, oh my goodness, it's even better.
There you go.
I would definitely recording space first and foremost.
Before you go off for now, I just want to double check. Is that the same advice you would give somebody approaching you saying, "Hey, I want to do voice acting," or would you want to go a different way?
It is. I often describe the running of this business, walking the journey of a voice actor, as the Triforce of voice acting.
I love it.
One triangle is the audio quality. The other triangle is the acting ability, and the other triangle is the business entrepreneurial marketing. While the business is ongoing and continuous for the rest of our lives, and so is acting. Any actor who stops training is going to get stagnant and will become irrelevant in time. And if you're irrelevant, you're not working, are you? But the audio quality has a finite ending. There's a point in which you attain a usable audio quality, and it's not a matter of subjective opinion. It's science and data and physics. It's dB numbers, if you will, with the proper equipment that best complements the frequencies of your voice. So the audio quality aspect is the first place I start with. And anyone who is genuinely serious about turning this VO journey into something sustainable for the long term is gonna want to invest in good gear and good space in which to work in. For the hobbyist actors who are on Casting Call Club and doing this for fun on the side, perfectly okay. With the blanket and the snowball, perfectly okay. Valid and reasonable and perfectly okay because it's fun. I completely agree. It's a lot of
Dorino.
No.
I love my sound blanket fort.
The sound blanket fort can be amazingly effective. I've seen. You know what I mean? With good isolation, with good treatment, with good placement and audio editing capabilities, paired with the equipment and the abilities that you're able to bring. No one has to know what you're working with. No one. As long as you turn in good audio they can use.
I I will also know, I think you blew Renara's mind when you talked about the triangles and the Triforce.
The only reason I reacted that way is because that is literally what the director for Skywind, I was talking about it and I couldn't remember what they were. He literally told me about that when I first started doing this, because I started the same time you did, 2016, 2017. And it just blew my mind because, when you suddenly have that sort of recollection of a memory and it's just like, oh my God, that was buried in the back of my head for years and now I know what it is. Thank you for reminding me. Secondly, I had no idea they were called Whisper Rooms.
Yes.
I'm looking them up now, and now I know exactly what I'm going to be investing in next, because my current box is great. It's wonderful. It's doing the job, but it is a box on stilts. So I now know what I'm good. Don't worry.
Whisper Room is also just a box, and if your box is a single-walled box, then there is no point in upgrading.
Okay, well, it's walls behind and then nothing in front, and then foam there. So I guess it works.
It's like a shell.
Yeah, I know.
Isolation and treatment. Isolation and treatment.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah, when maybe the work that you're doing pays for the room, maybe that's a good time to upgrade.
Yeah, hopefully I can own the house that I live in at that point.
There you go.
Let me add another element,
Please.
just really quickly.
Yeah.
The idea of owning a Whisper Room or idea of owning a Studio Bricks is for the quality of recording for the audio, sure. But I in my own journey as a business person also utilize it as a marketing piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like people who hire voice actors who are in this for whatever know what a Whisper Room is, know what a Studio Bricks is when you say them. And being able to list those things, those brands and those things inside a proposal, inside a website of your studio specs is going to sound better and read better and come off more professionally, whatever that means, than a well-treated home studio, which can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask one more tiny question?
Go for it.
What
Tiny ones only.
What recording software do you use?
Oh, it's a good
I
question.
use Twisted Wave.
Okay.
The Mac users in here, I love you. PC users, I love you too, but less.
Alright, I'm out.
If you're using a Mac, Twisted Wave is the best. For single channel recording, that's all we really need it for. I have Logic as well because I dub projects for clients, so there's picture multi-track capabilities necessary. So I use Logic and Twisted Wave, but most of the time Twisted Wave is the way to go for Mac users. For PC, it's Reaper. Do you need Pro Tools? You don't, unless you're an audio engineer or you work at a studio. You don't. Do you need Adobe Audition? Only if you have Photoshop and Premiere and you use Creative Cloud on a daily basis and it's included. Sure. But if you don't have that, Reaper. Or the Twisted Waves Windows beta that's recently released. Give it a try. It's amazing.
I love it. All right, team. We're way past time. June, thank you so much for time. Anything you want to give out? Any last nugget, maybe or any questions for us you might have?
Yeah. As the industry grows and as more and more people find their footing and progress in this way, because of the generous and kind culture of this community, more information and more resources will become available to the next generation of voice actors. They already are. And the resources and the repositories of information will grow exponentially as we go. For anyone starting today or last week or thinking about starting next week, number one, now you have the burden kind of to be able to really sort through and sift through the information to find the valid and the applicable and truly valuable information in the crowd of things that are out there. At the same time, finding a coach, a mentor, someone to look to who really has your progress and your success in their best interest in mind will be necessary, is absolutely necessary moving forward. I would heavily advise reaching out to the community to procure a list of well-known, well-cared-for, genuinely interested in your success coaches and mentors, and building a relationship with them as a business, of course, moving forward, I would say, just to help expedite the sifting and the sorting through all of the stuff that's out there.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Love it. Thank you so much again for your time, and thanks for coming on. This was this absolute honor, and you've changed my mindset just in this one conversation when it comes to a lot of things. So thank you so much for that. I 100% appreciate it. So we're going to say thank you again. We're going to say goodbye for this episode where we're going to close up shop. Again, sorry for all the technical issues, but hey, you know what? That's for those of you that were live watching us at Twitch. Thank you for being here, and you got to see all of the scrambling at the last minute. Those of you on YouTube, you'll see little pieces of it, but not as much. But if you have any questions or any comments, anything you'd like to talk to us about, you can email us at ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. Like I mentioned, we have a Discord that's available. Feel free to join the community. We're trying to expand. We have a good network of support. If you have a question, we'll find you the best answer that we can give you. We also love to listen to your audio. So if you have anything that you want us to listen to and have your peers constructively listen to it, we love to provide feedback. We're very good at it. We're at least with each other. We've all been through it. We've all put ourselves in that position. So don't be afraid. Until that, I'm going to pass this on over to Renara real quick.
I won't take up too much time. We've already gone over very, very much, but I will simply say maybe a couple of things, really. One, learn to rest, not to give up, because this industry can be very taxing, especially with just continuously having to do it. So learn to rest, learn to pause, but do not step backwards. Get back into it slowly but surely, because I think one of my acting mentors said you only give up when you stop. Like when you give up, that's when you stop. And secondly is you are beholden to nobody but yourself on this path. The only person truly I think that you need to be happy with is yourself. And from there grows the confidence to do a lot of what we've discussed here, I think. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Love it. Thank you again, and we'll catch you all next time. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Drink water.
There it is.
Stay hydrated.